everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. So this week I have a very special guest. His name is Paul Nanuwa, and he is an old dear friend, but more importantly, he is this phenomenal musician. I don't even know where to begin with you because you've done so many different things over the years. You've been in different bands, you've played with different artists, you've been involved in so much in the music scene, and you're just like doing amazing things. So thank you so much for joining me today. I'm
Thank you so
so
much.
excited to have you a part of this series. But yeah, where do we begin?
Well, obviously we began when I was playing in a band called Canteen, and I think I don't even remember what year that was. It was probably 1998. No, 2000. So yeah, probably around like 99, 2000. Because that band, I was actually in a band prior to that.
Yes, you were in a couple, no?
Yes, so my documented recordings start as early as a 15-year-old in a punk rock thrash metal band called Splithead.
Okay.
And so that's where Splithead came from. So yeah, from there, I've always been into having my own bands and recording my own music, and building a library of songs that I've contributed towards. And one day hopefully waiting for that track to hit and sparks a great revenue stream, which is the ultimate goal. But until then, you got to be creative and keep releasing and recording and writing and working with other artists. And then after I got into a pretty awesome band at that time called Megapop after the Splithead, which was right after high school. And that took me abroad to Estonia, which I recorded a full-length album there with a pretty well-known producer by the name of Jessica Corcoran, who produced The Wonder Stuff and Boy George. And we were actually sitting in a studio in the capital of Estonia, which is Tallinn, and spent a good chunk of the summer there recording a full-length album, doing some shows and press, playing some major festivals, and getting a lot of recognition out in the Scandinavian area, because the bandmates that I was involved with, they were Estonian, from Estonia as in heritage, but they were born in Toronto. So the Estonian community in Toronto was quite big, and everybody knew each other. So these were the Canadian Estonian guys that had a pretty big wave in the Nordic area. And we had some pretty exciting news, and Vice magazine wrote an article about us, and back in I think 98, 99, and they wrote some pretty cool things saying we're the next biggest band coming out of Canada since Blur. So I was always involved in just writing music and playing music that I loved, which was rock and, ballads kind of music, stuff with feel, and, and then from there, but I've always been involved in like rock and R&B, hip hop, and, so I like reggae music. I like classical music. I'll play in orchestra. I played in orchestras, and which I've done recently as well in a production for Bend It Like Beckham. And we will touch that on later because there's so much in between there, right? But
like you're jumping ahead. Hold on.
Yeah. All right, keep me in line. Keep me in line.
No, let's go back. So we met around the time when you were in a band called Canteen.
So that came off Megapop,
right?
And when Megapop split up, we went ways. We're still great friends. We still talk to this day. The albums have been released, and it generates revenue, and it's played since it's an album from 20 years ago. But it still gets played, and people enjoy it. We've still got a fan base, which is really good. And from that band, when we came back from Europe, is when Jan, who's my other member in that band, who's very similar to your last name, or your first name, sorry, Atta Jan, and I remember we used to talk about that quite a bit.
Yeah,
What's the coincidences, right? Right? It's like,
I do remember that.
right. And so Jan and myself, we formed a band called Canteen, and where we had Erin Sims, who was, she was in Student Bodies. She was in that show. The older crew would definitely know Student Bodies on YTV. So she was an actress there, and we had some pretty good success with that band as well. We were touring with Alana Miles, Sass Jordan, Air Supply. We had some pretty big names that we were being support for, and so being supporting artists, and we did some pretty significant things, and one thing leads to the next. Things part ways, and people, you don't know whether their head is at and want to take it seriously or not, or but my mind has always been, this is it for me. But
Yeah.
as I was not before, this is before I was even getting into any session work.
Right.
As I was doing my own projects, my own bands, I was working in finance as well at the same time. So I was working.
You were in finance for quite some time.
Yeah, so I spent a good 5 years working at King and Bay in the Bank of Montreal Tower on the 20th floor there. So I was working for one of the largest brokerages in Canada, and learned a tremendous amount of wealth and knowledge in the financial world as well. And just I never was really applying it, but it was just always in the memory bank of how to do it. So for me, it was just save, just see what I could do, and hustle with the music. And then, unfortunately, after that band had parted ways, Canteen split up. I formed some other bands, and I was in between work as well at the same time. I was not pursuing music full time at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And around 2005, I found a job in investor relations. So I ended up working for one of the largest investor relations firms in North America, as an account manager for public companies, and more specifically in the small cap arena. I was still focused on my music career, and my boss at the time recognized that. And as we were doing all Web 2.0 technologies in regards to marketing for companies, Facebook was coming out, I think in 2006 or 2007, very early then. Twitter as well was right behind it. So I was getting familiar with that for public companies and setting up pages. And my boss at the time, George, he said to me, he goes, "You should make one for yourself, Paul the drummer. You should make an Instagram page or a Facebook page for yourself, another Paul the drummer." And then 2008 came, and it was the big financial crisis. There was no money being made in the band, so I was focused on just getting a steady paycheck, right?
Mm-hmm.
As I was just building my skills, keep practicing, and just building my skills, learning more music, listening to more music. And again, I haven't even started session work then.
Okay.
And then 2009 came, and it was the recession came down, and this is where I met Mona at the end of 2008. And
Mona's your wife?
Mona is my wife, yeah. So I met her in 2008, and then in 2009, it was probably about 2 months before we were getting married, and the economy was, Mona closed her store downtown as well, her jewelry store. But just want to painting the picture of the hustles, right? And so 2009 comes, and George pulls me outside and says, "I'd love to keep you on as an employee, but if now is the opportunity for you to go and pursue your dream. You're an extremely talented guy. You need to have the confidence to go out and do it." So he sent me away and said, "If you ever come back to me and say, 'George, I tried, I didn't make any money, I didn't succeed,' he'll gladly give me my job back, and make sure I'm not worried about anything. But knowing the guy I am, who's very creative, and if I don't play, I get frustrated. If I don't get that time to be creative, it's a frustration. So it's a battle, but you learn to manage it." So 2009 came, and I started to session work, get my name out there. I never played with independent artists before. I just had my own projects growing up, and just having my own music. And I started playing with some bands, and started doing some more recordings, and making $150 a show to sometimes even $75 a gig. to even start building up the rates, because I have not proved myself out as a session drummer or a session musician.
So let's just pause right there and like tell the audience that don't know you, like what type of musician you are. Clearly, you're a drummer, as you can see.
Yeah, so I'm a drummer, but
you're not just a drummer, Paul. Like a phenomenal drummer.
I'm all right.
No,
I'm still learning.
You're pretty amazing. I mean, I know a little bit about music, but the drums.
I appreciate that. Believe it or not, guitar is my first instrument. I started playing guitar when I was 6 years old, but I really enjoyed the melody and the rhythmic feel of a guitar. Yeah. So that I turned it more into a percussive instrument. And then from there, I was singing in a choir in school, in assemblies as a kid. So singing, being Punjabi, being Sikh, going to a school in England, growing up in England, we would sing every morning in school assemblies and be singing Christian hymns. Okay. And I really enjoyed the singing, and I really enjoyed the words, and it was very visual for me, and it was a happy place for me. So from there was initially what sparked my interest in music. And then from there, so I'd say from like 4 to 6 years old. And then when I was 6, I asked my dad for a guitar for Christmas, and he got me a guitar. And I never put it down. And I learned. I'm a self-taught musician. I never took any formal lessons.
I remember that. Yeah.
And I've just let my love and admiration and passion for music just guide me through it and let me feel it my whole life.
So how did we transition from the guitar to drums?
So from as you know, anything that you hit becomes a percussion instrument. So I could hit this the table, and that's it. It's got a pattern to it now, and now there's a rhythm, right? So that becomes a percussion instrument. So from there, as I was saying, I used to bang on the guitar, play it, and like figure out different ways to get a beat out of the guitar and just make chords and play it. And I was playing shakers and stuff as I was singing in school, growing up in England, because I moved here in '89, so I was about 11 years old. And so in England, I was playing shakers, marimba, xylophone. So it had melodies, but it was also I'm hitting it. Yeah, so I understood melody with rhythm at a very young age. And I left England and came to Canada in '89. And we had a music department in the school here, and in the public school that I went to in Etobicoke. And there was basically a snare drum in the music class, a big upright drum, and just just one of these big cymbals. That's it, right? And that was it. And no one was playing it. And I come in around November, so it's already about 2 months into the school year, and everyone's already in the music class. And I walk in, and the music teacher's like, "Hey, you play the clarinet." So
I played the.
I was, did you play it? So I ended up playing it. I was a little bit, I was still nervous. I was still shy. I was getting a lot of attention because I have a British accent. So it was just a lot of, I was kind of just not out of my shell quite yet. but I knew that going home when I was on a guitar, I was confident and I was feeling, and when I held my instrument, I knew that that's me, that's a part of me. Like I can be myself with it. But when I didn't have it, it was like a lot of, you know, it was I would be myself. It was just, you know, I got to connect to a lot of people through it. So anyhow, the teacher says, here's a clarinet. So I started playing clarinet for 2 months, 3 months. And then at the end of music class, I asked my teacher, can I just try the drums? And, you know, and keep in mind, in England, I've been playing already on this, and I've been making drum beats with using chopsticks, playing on the sofa, but, you know, having the feel for it and understanding what the beat was. So I understood that this is a bass drum. If I'm going to hit it sideways, and this would be a snare drum, I could figure it out. So the biggest song at the time was Let Your Backbone Slide by Maestro Fresh West, and Belle Biv DeVoe, Poison. Yes. So I sat down there and I started playing Backbone Slide, and I started and the heads just turned, like, what? And the teacher was like, he couldn't believe it. So he had no idea. And he goes, well, why didn't you say anything? And I said, I wasn't too sure, right? I didn't want to ask. So, you know, you gave me the clarinet. So I thought, let me just play the clarinet. I'll learn it anyway, right?
Clarinet too, like this.
So I learned it. So I learned how to play clarinet. So, so because of that, so I figured that out. And then, and then from there, it was just on from grade 6 to grade 8 in that middle school that I was guided by my music teacher, Mr. Caldwell, which I would love to find to this day. And I don't know if he's still with it, but
maybe he'll see this.
I've tried, you know, like I've tried to look him up, but, you know, you don't know where these people are at the end. But, you know, him and my choir teacher in grade 6 were just unbelievable. And Mrs. Schaefer and Mr. Caldwell were a big influence in my life, especially here in Canada, and really pushed me and really believed in me. And I got a lot of encouragement from my music teachers in school. And it was, you know, I would be the only class I'd be getting 100% in, and you know, it would be, I'll be doing well in the other things, but other classes, but yeah, exactly. But I mean, music class was just something I really enjoyed. I started learning to read music while they were teaching me how to read music. So I was learning through the public school system, which I found really supportive and really helpful. So, you know, to this day, I hope that the fundings are all still there for public schools, because I think it's just an outstanding feeling to just walk in a room full of musical instruments as a kid. I think it's just amazing.
So your school system was very supportive, and it sounds like your father bought you your first instrument. How were your parents and your family, like, growing up, you know, as a brown kid saying, I love music? Were they like, okay, or were they supportive with this?
It's been a battle. Okay. You know, I've always seeked opportunity, and I've always taken risks in my life, and you know, it's because of those things has got me to where I am now as a person. And you know, growing up, to them it was just a hobby, but you know, I had friends coming over, and Megapop was happening in my basement, and doing rehearsals. Basement. Yeah, doing rehearsals twice a week, you know, but like this, and I'm 17 years old, 16 years old, and having scheduled rehearsals, and you know, there's no social media, there's no, you know, I think I had a pager at the time, and that was about it, and we'd just be calling landlines, you know, with no area code. So it was
different time.
very different time. But you know, everybody, you know, with Megapop, those guys, you know, the passion was there. We just got together. Even we were, you know, I was the youngest in the band. Everyone was a few years older than me, up to about 5 years older than me. But it was always a positive place, and a great place to express our love for music collectively, and you know, and we really enjoyed that time. And it was a very, you know, that was the taste of, hey, I'm going to Europe to record an album. That for me, you know, at the age of 17 turning 18, and right out of high school I went.
So what were your parents' reaction to that?
Nothing. It was a fight, and I was clawing for my dream. And I was very adamant about no one ever taking it away from me, because no one truly understands how happy it makes me. And, you know, I knew that from when I was singing Christian hymns, you know, when I was 4 or 5 years old. You know, as you know, it's a struggle when, you know, you start doing cool things and you know, true colors of other people come out, and you think you have the support of the people that mean the most to you, but it's quite, in fact, the complete opposite.
It's
And
interesting who ends up supporting you, right? It's you find out, like, there's that quote, you find out who the real ones are. That's that holds true very much.
It does hold true, but you know, that's the process, right? You got to go through the process, and you can't, you know, no one leads a perfect life, right? There's always birth and there's always death at the end of the day, right? And it's just who you choose to surround yourself with, and just make the best of your life. And you know, I can't afford to have anyone bring me down. You know, it's taken me a long time to get to this place, and I'm really happy here, and you know, I'm doing a lot more things that I wanted to do, and keeping more focused.
I mean, you've always been so passionate about music, and you've always pursued it, even though, you know, you were trying to like do this other career at the same time. You kept persisting and you kept pushing through. You've done this, like, you started off with this like tour, and you know, you left and went to Europe, even though your family wasn't as supportive at the time. After that, when you came back, let's talk about Canteen for a bit, because I have a sweet spot for Canteen.
Yeah. Do you still have an album? Do you
know what? I was thinking about that. I'm like, I think it's somewhere for sure.
Nice.
But I used to download the music.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Like, it would be on repeat. Like, and I was living in Edmonton at the time, and it was right after high school, and I would just be like walking to class or whatever, and it would just be like nonstop, like Canteen. That music.
That's awesome. Oh man,
that music was something else. Like the vocals, like every time I would like wait for your solo part, because you could just like
yeah. There's some good drumming in that.
In my head right now.
I don't even. You know what? If we were to ever get back together, I would always, you know, it would be funny to hear everyone play our old songs again. It would be like it'd be like, you know, you gotta give it a couple of. Yeah, I've tried to push it a few times, but it's been hard. Okay. It's been hard. Everyone's been focused and stuff, right? So everyone has different priorities, and you know, if they didn't, you know, it's some I guess it's a tough business. It's a tough business, right? Totally. It's a business at the end of the day.
Absolutely. Right. So after Canteen, then you were doing various different things, and then we come to Across the Board, which is another band you were a part of. So when was that? That wasn't too long ago.
No, that wasn't too long ago. That was, I just came, like, as I was doing session work in 2009, I was also, I got involved in a reggae band called Kid Rasta and the Peacemakers. And
really?
That reggae,
I missed this. Okay.
You missed this one. Okay, so with this band, Kid Rasta and the Peacemakers, I was in that band for a good 4 years, and we did some pretty big shows. We opened up for Jimmy Cliff, we opened up for Easy Star All Stars, Big Sugar, Ziggy Marley.
When you did Big Sugar, okay.
The highlight of that one was definitely playing with Ziggy Marley.
Okay.
So you know, sharing a stage with Bob Marley's son is pretty significant.
Incredible.
And Mona was actually pregnant with Elvis at that time. So Elvis was in the presence. He was in the building.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
What's so funny is when we got onto the Zoom meeting, it said Elvis has entered the chat or whatever it said, and I was like dying. I was like, this is like, because I know you so well. I'm like, yeah, like go figure. So it didn't surprise me. But if anybody else read that, they'd be like, oh my god, what is happening right now?
Well, you do know that is my birth name, though, right?
Did I
do you know that?
Maybe
I was born with the name Elvis. That's my real name.
I was thinking maybe middle name. I didn't know
No,
that was
it's my
your
first.
birth name.
It's my
Really?
birth name, Elvis Singh Nanuwa. Yeah, and then it got changed when I was 4,
Okay.
and
Why?
then grandparents didn't like it. They were like, kind of disowned my dad and my parents, and give him a proper Indian name. So then from Elvis, it went to Inderpal.
Okay.
So
Fair.
from Inderpal is where I get Paul.
The evolution of our
Yeah,
name, right?
right.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Fair.
yeah, so then I was in a reggae band for a good 4 years, and did some pretty awesome shows, did some good some pretty big gigs. And as I was doing that gig, I was working as a production runner as well. So I was working at the OVO festivals,
Okay.
working
So I
Digital
remember
Dream.
this part. Yeah.
Yeah, so basically I was working directly with the artists. So picking the artists up from the airport, bringing them to the hotel, from the hotel pick them up, go to sound check back, take them out for a bite to eat, just build relationship with
Yeah.
these guys. So I did stuff with Saint Nelly and the Saint Lunatics, Bad Religion, some punk bands. Did 3 OVO festivals. So I made some really good connections there with 50 Cent's barber and P Diddy's barber.
There you go.
He's a good friend of mine. So
There
if you
you
see
go.
this, Curtis, say what's up, man. But
Please see this.
yeah,
I
yeah,
hope
right.
he sees this.
I need a haircut, man. Look at this. But yeah, so that was a good era, a good time where I was networking and just making connections, meeting the right people. But it was not one of those things. It was basically I had no job,
Mm-hmm.
and I was trying to make not really doing as much session work. I'm doing a little bit here and there, getting my feet wet and getting more things with the Indian scene, getting on more Indian side stuff, because a lot of introductions started happening. A lot of people were, who's this guy, a Punjabi guy that can play drums like that?
The thing.
So
Yes, exactly.
right,
Especially like you're already good as what you are. Like, and when I say good, I mean like good, right? So, but I'm maybe I'm biased, but I think you're like one of the best drummers out there. Like,
hey, I'll take it, man. I need it.
No, truly.
Because there's some amazing drummers out there, and it's.
I think you're like totally like you're world class for sure. And I've always said that.
I appreciate that.
Always thought that of you. But then we've like transitioned to this part where you started entering the Bollywood scene. And more of the Indian scene. And as like a brown guy who's like this amazing drummer, how did you get into that scene? Because now you're playing with people like Munj Music, Sukhbir, right?
Yeah.
I'm like trying to name drop here. I'm like
Sidhu, Jazzy B, Jussie Sidhu, H Dummy, PMC, Punjabi
like all
MC.
the big names. Jazzy.
Yeah, one thing, Lisa. Next, and I think I'd like to think that these guys think that I'm not there for just a hobby. I don't go and leave the drums to a job, a regular 9 to 5. That this is my job. I go here and I check into that, and I have to practice, and it just doesn't come overnight. So you start, the budgets start getting bigger, but I found that I was getting more money, more value out of being a drummer in the Eastern world, but still trying to focus and create recurring revenue from original Western music that I was putting my footprint on as well.
My fire zone, rocking all the pride you own, drifting from the natural, feeling super casual. 'Cause I just wanna ride with you every night. I'm coming through, got this feeling I'm checking with you, you're rolling.
And, you know, being in studios at the same time, you know, I was learning a lot about the changes and the evolutions of recording studios from you know, analog recording on DAT machines to reel and going over to you know, digital imprint on audio waves and digital sounds. And you know, everything I do is digital. I don't even, when I'm programming drums, I'm programming drums off like a keyboard now. You know, I don't know, but I'm gonna move and probably get one of these electronic drum kits so I can still have a feel of playing. But you know, that's right now. Yeah, no. But you know, it's something. You know, it's, you just go and you just play and you love it, right? But
I remember when we were chatting back then, I would take like this is a makeup brush, that's all I have right now, but I used to take chopsticks, and I remember you would tell me, you're like, okay, one hand does one thing and the other hand does another, and I could never do that. And you told me this, you're like, it's kind of like patting your head and rubbing your belly at the same time. And I would be like walking around trying this, and I'm like, I can't do this. Like, this is hard. It's not like it's a talent. It's not something everyone can do, like this drum thing.
It's basically, you're training your brain to think independently. Each limb has to be independent of each other and not rely on each thing. And some amazing things happen. And I tell you what, where the magic of drums happens for a drummer. And if there's any drummers watching this, they'll agree that for a right-handed drummer, the magic is unlocked on the heel of your left foot. Okay. So if you like this with your left foot, that's your left foot, right? There's your heel. That's the magic. That's the magic. All the magic starts from that heel. Yeah. As a drummer. Yeah. Yeah. Because I'm going right now, I can just go on the drums and play like it's my left heel's going, right? So that's what's keeping the tempo. That's what sets the time for me and a lot of other drummers I know, that, you know, the heel plays an important part.
It's a lot of coordination, but like a lot of like.
It's a lot of subconscious.
Yeah.
Effort, right? Subconscious effort. Like I could sit there and read a book and play drums. You know, it's if it's not too technical, if I'm not learning something, if I'm not learning or trying to apply something, I can't do it. You know, because I'm going to go through that trial and error, and it's just normal. But you know, the more you practice with anything, the better you become.
Yeah, and for you, drums is like second nature, I feel.
Yeah, you know, drums overtook guitar for me.
Yeah.
The guitar's always been there, but drums, it was the feeling of rhythm is what my soul was searching for. Is that sense? It was that, you know, I found it through music, you know. I love tempo, I love time, I play tricks with myself. If I'm warming something up in the microwave, I'll count down in my head subconsciously and not even look at the time and just see if I can keep on 60 seconds in my head and bang on. And so like, once you're being playing on like a click track or beat on a metronome, kind of, it really does, not kind of, it really helps. You're playing and tapping into your subconscious clock, and gives you that, and you feel, and it's kind of, you feel it's embedded in your mind, so you just know that's a time that's just going by, and it's consistent, and it's just consistent, and you just lock into it, and
you can see it on your face, like the passion, right? Like, and it's wonderful.
It's like this is the geek. This is the geek in me,
no,
right?
It's wonderful. It shows how passionate you are about music, and it comes through in your music, 100%.
Oh, thank you so much. It's been tough, but you know, it's something I never gave up doing, and I never will. It's something, you know.
Nor should you. Yeah.
No. So, and then after that reggae band, Kid Rasta and the Peacemakers, I was working with some other producers in the Western world, and had a friend, and then I had another friend that I was lending some drumming and some songwriting to another artist. They were doing an artist development. And
sorry, let's touch on that, because when you say session work and whatnot, a lot of the people that are watching don't fully understand what that means. So when you say session work, you're producing, you're writing songs, you're helping write music, all that.
I wasn't producing at this point, but
Okay.
I was learning. And I was sitting with engineers, and after I recorded my drum tracks, I would see, okay, what's this? And I'd look at the screen, and that's my audio, that's my bass drum here, or that's the EQ, and start looking at those things. But I never started applying that till later on. But just being around that environment, as I was saying from earlier, going from analog to digital, I kind of already knew what was happening, but I never really applied it yet. So in terms of session work, that means it's basically I was a drummer for hire. I would be hired to go and record three drum tracks on. I learned this person's song and they want to put drums to it. What are your take to it? So I'd give 3-4 different versions of it and be paid for those sessions, and then also get like a percentage of it as a contributor to the song, right? Okay. So building up resume that way, trying to make money at the same time, and in the same time having the knowledge of the stock markets and small cap companies as well. Yeah. So I was managing to take certain revenues and 3, 4, 5, 10 times the money as well, because you can't survive off of it. If you have a hit song, you're fine. But if I didn't have a hit song, so I had to take whatever I was making and figure out ways to be creative. And having my resources and my experience in the financial world, it will help me tremendously to this day. And where we can touch on that after, but in terms of session work, that's what it was. It was just going from project to project. Right. Maybe you'll be in a project for a few months. Maybe you'll be in there for a couple of years. Mm. But it was just you're around and you're one of the moving parts in a project. And then out of some of those sessions gigs, and as I was doing Indian stuff as well, making my name out there, and started doing some crossover work with mainstream artists, with the Indian artists that I was with. It's where Choclair would come into play, and those are the type of artists as well. I got involved into another band called Trouble and Daughter. Trouble and Daughter brought us it was a quick run for about like two years. Okay. I did a lot of the songwriting, contributed towards a lot of the songwriting, and a lot of nothing got released. It was one of those. It was one of those things that every member in that band was involved in so much, but together in other projects, but together we formed as Trouble and Daughter. We managed to get a record deal out of it. We got signed to Wax Records in 2014. Okay. And through Universal, had a distribution through Universal Records, but it was just one of those things that everyone was involved in different various other projects, we played some pretty good shows and became friends with the Arkells. We played with the Arkells. I'm doing what I'm doing, but I just love to create. I'd love to still keep just putting stuff out there and doing that sort of stuff.
So you went from rock and pop and then transitioned into other genres like R&B, and then it kind of...
So the session works, a lot of the session work that I was doing is a lot of R&B, hip hop oriented. And a lot of my projects were more rock and pop oriented. Yeah. And Trouble and Daughter was actually very similar to sound. It would be how Canteen would have been.
Okay, fair.
So we had a female vocalist who shared the duties of the male vocalist, and it was, a 4-piece band, and we had some amazing catchy poppy tunes, and I was a major songwriter of those songs. Unfortunately, none of those things got released. Okay. So that's a lesson to be learned. No money comes in, 2.5 years invested into a band, and you maybe have like a few gigs here and there that pay some expenses, but the main goal is, let's just get going with getting the songs, get them out there, and get them recorded and get them heard. And as that was going on is when I met Across the Board. Okay. And I joined I joined that band, and I recorded and contributed to about 2 albums of their music. I did a remix of I did my first production track. I did a remix to one of their songs. I did a techno remix to one of their songs. Yeah. And then just sessioning, building my name out at the same time, and just Manj. I was playing a lot of festivals, and then Manj was the first, probably the mainstream artist from RDB who approached me, and he goes, I really like what you did for this person. I want you to do that for me. I'm going to take you out to Vancouver in 2 weeks, and we're going to go play there. So I'm like, all right, perfect. So and this happened to be in 2009. To be honest, this is just after this is just when I got let go. So this was one of the very first things that I started doing. But it was a slow ramp up from there, because they only spend a certain amount of time here, and the rest of the time they go back home to India, and that's where they spend a good chunk of the time, because that's where the shows are. But it's not cost effective on a business standpoint to bring someone from over here. So I had to make sure my rates and what my expenses were, everything was good and covered, and then using my knowledge that I did in the markets, I just invested into great emerging companies. So
you've also been playing with all these various different artists, and now crossed over into the Bollywood scene, and you're working with a lot of amazing talent there. And recently, did I read you had a single or a couple singles out yourself?
Yeah. Was not so. I did the music production for it, and I approached a friend who's co-produced the song with me, and that track was for an artist that he was developing by the name of CYO Kilo.
My fire zone, rocking all the pride you own, drifting from the natural, feeling super casual. 'Cause I just wanna ride with you every night. I'm coming through. Got this feeling I'm checking with you. You rolling. Don't get confused. Already know the truth. I see your every move. Don't hold back, just show me.
Yeah, so I came up with the initial concept for the song Different Ways. That was my production, and got a friend to co-produce it with me, and got him to come on and turn it into a record.
Yeah.
So and that got released. It's out there. If anyone wants to take a listen. And they had a follow-up song where I didn't produce this one. I just it was given to me at a certain level of, it was still empty, but I just added my flavor onto his second song called Bitch I'm Sick.
Bitch, I'm sick, I'm sick, sick, I'm sick, sick, I'm sick. Bitch, I'm sick, I'm sick, sick, I'm sick, sick, I'm sick.
Okay.
And then also and then I had friends who were shooting a short film as well about 3-4 years ago, and they asked me to do the music for the short film as well. So I just recently, that got released on YouTube. It's a short film called Duri.
Okay.
And it was released under the People of the Community, which is a podcast that happens here in Toronto.
Okay.
So as I was, not working, I would just go and just hang out and have a laugh with my friend.
In between there, you were in a live production of Bend It Like Becca.
Yeah, so that was just recently. So that happened at the end of, end of December. Yeah, right at the end of November of last year, 2018.
Okay.
I was in New York, and I ended up getting a phone call there, and from the MD, the music director for Bend It Like Beckham, and asked me to come and play Doll for the musical, and I was just going to be. Initially, they had no idea anything about me. They just said I was recommended to come play, Doll, have a good look, and he can come out on stage and he will rip it every night for 48 shows, 8 days a week.
48.
Yeah, like 8 shows a week. It was only I think only Tuesdays off. I can't remember, but it was 2 shows a night with 1 day off.
Wow. And how was that experience? Like, you're playing.
It was great. So
you're playing for a live audience again, but it's like
every night,
different sort of stage, right?
Yeah, it's a theater stage, and in high school, I used to love being in drama classes and all that stuff too. So it was really like it was a place for me to be myself and express my love for music.
Yeah.
And for me, it's just once I start playing, my hair goes flying over the place. I really don't care. Like I'm just like, I'm in it. I'm just in it. I'm just gonna go. Yeah. I'm just gonna go and just play. Right. It was really exciting. Oh, here, look, I got like I got this right here.
Oh my God. I'm so sad I missed this. I read somewhere that you're like a wizard at instruments. Like, you can basically just look at it and be like play it right away.
Yeah, I'm not afraid to give it a go. I'm not afraid to,
like, you pick it up really quickly.
Yeah. So, well, I'm like, don't get me wrong. I'm not playing it at a professional level, but I'm playing it decent enough to get a sound and hold my own.
Yeah.
But I'm not playing, I have to put time and effort into it in order to say that I'm going to be playing at a professional level, but it comes
a lot easier to you than it would.
Yeah, it just comes, yeah, exactly. It just comes a lot easier. Yeah, totally.
Drums by far is still your favorite, or guitar?
No, drums, but I'm really getting more into producing now, and utilizing, especially with this unfortunate turn of events that's happening in the world, and it's there's no shows, there's no work. I have no income from any live performance. So as any other struggling artist out there, I know I can feel their pain, but it's it is having plan in place, and I think having my experiences in the financial world and learning how to invest money into junior companies on the exchanges really helped in times like this, where it's while everyone's not everybody, but like while people are not having a job or this that lost out on income from those shows, this is a time where it's a great time for an opportunity as well. Mm-hmm. It's a great time to really think outside the box. It's a great time to really educate yourself, and along with the music that I'm doing right now, I'm also teaching people how to invest with my partner, who's my mentor from the company I used to work for in 2005 to 2009. He let me go from that job and said, if you ever need a job, come back. And I never went back after 15 years. But over the last couple of years, we started, we've coming up with an stock market education platform called George U, which is a subscription. It's a subscription newsletter to better further anyone who wants to fast track their life into financial freedom, which I'm sure any of your listeners want to do anyway, right?
Yeah.
And we the whole premise about it is it's an actual 3 to 5 year plan that it's not a get rich overnight thing. This is smart investing. It's swing trading. Our whole positions are very small, are very quick. They're like 3 days to a month that we hold a security. The education platform, we provide stock recommendations, due diligence, lessons, education. It costs $500 a year for the membership, but and everyone trades on their own individual platforms. We'll teach you how to make profit from the stock market like we do, and make sound investment decisions, because that's what we do for the companies that I used to work for. It's all the due diligence, look at financial statements, and look at company profiles, and look at there's so many things that you could buy a mutual fund from the bank, and inside those mutual funds are a stock, one of these companies, a security that's performing tremendously on its own, but it gets mixed in with other things that don't perform very well, and that gets lost in your profits. So when it comes to personal financing, personal banking, for me, or in personal investments, it was for me, it was a no-brainer to just start. I already know about small caps and my history in researching companies and finding the information. That's the job in itself. And once you're passionate about something and you love doing it, it's just, what to look for, and where the opportunities lay. And and that's what we're teaching our investors who join, is we're giving them the opportunity to profit from the stock market like we have. And for $500 a year, it's nothing. You're going to make that money back in a trade, but I'm like, I think
I'm going to be signing up.
Well, yeah, listen, we'll talk afterwards. Like, the beauty of this newsletter as well is, as I said, you keep 100% of your profits, and you're trading on your own trading platform. You're just subscribed to email alerts and letting us tell you when what the recommendation is, what our strategy is behind it, what our entry and exit points are, and it's all mathematical, and we have mathematical rules and parameters set in place, and we just follow them. And it's not hard to do when you're moving as a group together through the markets, swinging from one profit tree to the next. And we're not greedy investors. We're not there. We're just taking small profits along the way, where you can twice your money, 3 times your money, even not even like even nearly half of your investment, even 38% of it is even great. Like, you just take those profits and you move on, and eventually learning how to use your profits and making your profits work for you, and never becoming and don't take your don't get your account below your initial investment, whatever that is, right? So that's the name of the game, and we're very good at doing it. And George, he's a tax and securities lawyer by degree, and in '95 he graduated the Osgood School of Law, and he's happens to be my mentor in life. And one of the questions I know you asked me, who inspires you the most, is probably him. Okay. It's probably him. Yeah. He told me to go out and do it. He was there for me as a big brother, even through the struggles of that time of no man's land, of no income, just have a job, having kids. So that's why now I feel like I'm using my platform as a musician to show people how you can really live your dream, and you can do it in a way and set you up on a 3 to 5 year plan where you're on the road to success. It is so crucial. And so for me, I feel like I'm at a point now during this COVID-19 pandemic that I'm buckled down. I'm playing with the kids. I'm not stressed. I'm writing music. I'm playing and making money, and not worried about shows, and kind of semi-retired. But and my wife is a real estate agent as well. So 2 great money moving vehicles is small cap stocks and real estate, right? So when you're passionate about anything, you're just going to succeed. And I want to share that with the world. I want to inspire young musicians and anyone who wants to take that risk and leave that 9 to 5 job to focus on your dreams. The George U newsletter is not telling you to leave your job. It's telling you will eventually be able to leave your job if you follow the plan for 3 to 5 years. That's why it's a 3 to 5 year plan. Yeah. How to win big and lose small. It's an exciting time. And we're focused more on the technology side of things, and knowing where artificial intelligence is going, and knowing about 3D imaging, and knowing about plant-based foods, cannabis companies, esports companies, blockchain, crypto. Knowing where this is going, the next decade is going to be creating a load of millionaires. That's where I am at in my nutshell of my life. Well, my goal at Jan is to change lives, whether it is through my music that I release, whether it's through my life experiences. My purpose in life is to, as I said, is to touch lives. I love that connection. I love making a difference in someone's life. I like being that lead source of light and hope, because if you put your mind to it, you can achieve tremendous things. And yeah, you're going to get setbacks. You're going to have people telling you that you're not going to be able to do it. But if you truly believe in your heart, then you're focused and you're determined, just go for it, and don't stop and until you leave, till you reach what you consider your level of success. You tell me that, you know, I've done so much this and that. To me, you know, I'm nowhere near where I want to be in life, and I'm just and that's my fuel. You know, that's going to fuel me. But at the same time, I want to inspire people. I want to change lives. I want to touch people. I want to be that source of inspiration to people, that you can put your mind to it. You can follow your dreams, whether it's producing music or playing music. Hustle, do those jobs.
Yeah.
Do what you got to do. You know, make what you got to do work. At the same time, be smart, set up a future, and invest in emerging companies of the technology, because it can really make a difference. You know, when you have that capital to invest into yourself and live an easier life.
After the pandemic, where do you see yourself going? There's probably a lot of projects that got pushed back because of this, and like, what artists are you planning on working with in the near future? What can we kind of expect from you?
Well, you can expect some more releases as a producer and some more artist development. I'm, you know, working and talking to a lot of people in my network and resources of people in the mainstream music, with major labels and my affiliation there. So ultimate goal, obviously, you want to work with the big names and lend your services to people like The Weeknd or Drake, or you know, even Nav. I like his stuff. I got you know, Tory Lanez. I like Tory Lanez and
Tory Lanez.
A lot of things that I you know, produce instrumental wise. You know, have that feel and have that, and they have that feel of a celebrity artist should be on one of my tracks. So my goal now is stay tuned and watch out for what's yet to come.
That's exciting.
Yeah, it's all right.
Keep oh, that's all right. Whatever. It's just another day.
Yeah, but that's exactly what it is, though. It's like, that's another
for
day.
you, yes. But no, thank you so much. I think.
Thank you, Atajan.
I think that's everything for this round, anyway. But no, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today. I
had a great time,
thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, me too.
I'm excited to see what's next. I'm going to put a ton of links down below. Yeah, no, I'm so glad we got to connect, and
me too.
You came on here and you're a part of the series. So thank you again. And
thanks. All the best. I wish you all the best too, Atajan, and you know, keep killing it. You're digital marketer extraordinaire, and you know, it's just and keep releasing good stuff, and hopefully, fingers crossed, everything goes the way it needs to go, and just have faith along the way, and take those risks.
Yeah.
Take those risks.
Oh, I'm a big risk taker. I don't know if it's a good or bad thing.
Yeah.
That's what it's been. So
thanks, Atajan. All the best, all right? And thanks for having me on the show.
Oh no, my pleasure.